Hello, everybody. I'm Arie. Thank you for joining me. So happy to be here. So happy that you took time out of your schedule to be with me as we reveal a little bit about what we're doing here at Dataclay and what these new autographs are all about. We've been busy, and I'm going to take this hour or so to introduce you to what autographs are, what our marketplace of autographs are, and how you can be a part of the marketplace, as well as showcase a little bit about what some of the authors that we've already worked with have created. And, just to guide the discussion a little bit, what I'm going to go ahead and do is use a slide deck that I put together. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera and start sharing my screen. And looks like I am sharing it now. And I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation. Okay. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, there's our title screen. This is all about Templater autographs, and these are basically data-ready video templates from professional designers. I do want to call out Box Technologies. They've been great. They lent us a very, very fast machine. They're also here in Austin. Dataclay is an Austin, Texas company. Box lent us a machine so that our demo can go as smoothly as possible. And we are presenting right from this machine. So After Effects is installed. These autographs are, we've already opened them, and they've been really great. So thank you, Box. Go check them out. Sometimes owning the metal is better than launching something in the cloud, just because you have so much power at your disposal. So highly recommend Box for doing rendering tasks, both in post-production and 3D and stuff like that. Okay, so with that, what I'm going to go ahead and do is get started. The term autograph, just a little bit about the etymology. It's a contraction of automatic graphics. That's one way to look at it. But the other way to look at it is through this idea of the human autograph, right? Every human has an autograph. Everybody can leave their own creative imprint. And at Dataclay, we value the human and the human creativity, the human spirit in all creative endeavors. And so that is why we chose the term autograph. Even though Dataclay embraces automation, we really value this idea of keeping the human imprint in anything that is created. And so that's kind of the angle that we're coming at. So that's just a little bit about how we derive the name, but what are they specifically? Well, an autograph is a After Effects project file that is fully compatible with our Templater software. And it's compatible right out of the box. It ships with sample data. And what that means is that composition layers and even the expressions of those layers inside of the AE project are already pre-mapped with data that the author has rigged up. So this is really great because sometimes you just want to focus on changing the contents of an After Effects project file. You don't really want to dig in deep into the compositions and change things. And it also allows you to separate and decouple the data that's appearing in these compositions from the actual creative, comp that is built in AE. So these are really great for, beginning to learn Templater, obviously, but also to use as a starting off point to create your own autographs and begin automating your own workflow. So why should we use them? Well, as I said, it's quick. You can quickly begin to work with data inside of motion graphics, and it's really it makes the learning curve less steep to learning our software and how to bring data to the table inside of your creative assets. And so the more complex and sophisticated these After Effects projects get, the harder it is to actually change content, to change data like texts, colors, photos, media replacement, things like that. So, we introduce these also as a way for you guys to, for everybody to learn how to use our software and to start building your own data-driven compositions. And also you can take them right out of the box, load them onto your automation system that might be relying on Templater bot and get going with them right away just by figuring out how to change data that bot is reading from. So these are very well designed, very thought out, and the ones that I'm going to show you are really, really powerful. So where to get them? Where do you get these things? We just launched an online marketplace, and you can license and download these autographs for your own use. Just go to that link right here, dataclay.com/products, and you can see we have about 6 that are on there right now. You can see for yourself what they cover. We have everything from an audio visualizer to social media stories to dynamic realty listings to sports statistics, and there's more coming down the pipe. So take a browse, and I'll show you what that's all about after we finish this slideshow. But what I want to talk to you first about is how we're approaching the licensing, because these autographs, they let you create many unique renders based off of data, right? And so as opposed to different outlets that are licensing After Effects projects, Dataclay is taking the approach of, we're not concerned with how many outputs you're making as long as you have the correct license for that. So what we've done is we have this 3-tier system. We have what we call basic output, bulk output, and batch output. So if you need, if you have a simple project that you need to automate, up to 200 renders, you would go with the basic, and then the bulk, that's up to 1,000 renders, and then the batch is up to, infinite amount of renders. And so, that's the licensing model that we have. And when you go to a single page on our marketplace, you're going to see how that licensing is arranged. And different autographs are different quality levels, and so all of them don't have the same price. But I'm going to talk briefly about the how quality and value intersect. So first of all, at Dataclay, we really value creative people. We think that the time that creatives put into their art is very valuable. And so I think that it's a really important thing for artists and authors who are building content, who are building these templates, to realize that this is real intellectual property that should be valued at a price point that essentially makes sense for the time that's put in. So what we've done is we've categorized these templates or these autographs at 3 different levels of quality. We have standard, premium, and what we call signature. And there's 2 metrics that we use to determine the quality. One is how many compositions inside of the project are intended to be rendered out by an automated system. So we call these things target compositions. So if you've used Templater, you understand the term target composition. That's the composition that Templater will grab from the project and render to disk. So if you're at the standard quality, it's only about 3 to 5 target compositions exist inside of the project, and maybe you only have 5 dynamic elements inside of those across all of the targets right there. So that's a standard. It's a very simple, straightforward project file. Now, premium, you get up to about 6 to 8 target compositions, and you have a minimum of 10 dynamic elements. And then the signature is going to be 9 or more target compositions with 15 dynamic elements. So depending on how sophisticated you've built your After Effects project, that's what determines the quality of the autograph. So in the way that we deal with the price points is we place a markup over a base price. So for example, if you had a standard autograph with 3 target compositions with 5 dynamic elements, that's going to be priced at $125 for somebody to license it to produce 200 up to 199 unique renders. And then the next tier is a little bit more of a markup, and you can see that for bulk output it would be license would be 250, and then for infinite amount 1,000 plus you would look at 500, and that's just the standard. So this matrix is essentially how we're going about pricing these products. So the important thing that what we're trying to do here is we are trying to make an open marketplace for professional designers to build these things, and so that you can license them. So how is it done? What are the steps that are involved? Basically, you can join Dataclay's marketplace as an author, and you get your own profile, your own branding, your own avatar, and it's all about you on our site on Dataclay.com. And then you go and you design and develop an autograph using After Effects, Templater, and some sample data. So it's up to you to actually rig up all of the layers with the data, clean the data, structure the data. So an autograph ships with structured data. And so that's actually a very big part of the development process. Once you have tested on your own machine, you've built it, you can send it to Dataclay for review, and we'll work with you to provide feedback. And then it gets to the point where we'll approve it, and then we can publish it. So once published, what we do is we will do our utmost best to promote the autograph via our marketing channels. And we do that through social, we do that through newsletters, things like that. So you get some boost in the marketing aspect. And then, of course, there's a revenue share model. So this means that for all license sales, you get 70% of the sale, of the license sale, after all discounts, fees, and taxes are considered. And discounts can come in the form of sales that Dataclay might deem are necessary. But you can see here, for example, if you created a premium autograph and somebody purchased at batch output, you would earn $1,000 for every sale, and Dataclay would earn $300. More for a signature, somebody only needed a signature level quality for 199 outputs, you would earn $350, and Dataclay would earn $150. Now, we understand that this is completely different from other outlets that are selling After Effects templates, but because of the way that the template is used and the amount of content that's generated from the template in this automated fashion, we think that these introductory prices make sense for that. So keep in mind, we want to hear from you. We want authors to contribute. We want, obviously, end users to use these autographs in their own systems. So, if you're a developer, you can use these autographs to start developing your system. If you're an author, you can, really create some innovative things with data and motion graphics. And I'm going to show you all about that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to start After Effects. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what these things are. So I'm going to start with a very simple one, which is called Social Media Stories. And this is basically a autograph that comes with about, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8 target compositions. We've got squares and verticals for different output aspect ratios. And here's Templater right here. And what we want to do is kind of show you out of the box what happens when you get this. And let me go to the folder where this is actually contained. So if I go to here and I go to the social media stories, what you're going to see here is we've got some footage here. Here's some logo, some different logos that we ship with, some photos that are shipped with, and then some videos as well. Well, there's no video in this particular one. Now, the interesting thing is that when you go and get the autograph, each one is documented in a certain way. And in this case, for this one, this URL points to a Google Sheet that Templater can read from. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go into here, and we're going to go and just kind of create a new tab and paste in this link. And what this is saying is, hey, you know, this, you know, we don't want you to write directly to the master Google Sheet, but you can make a copy. So we're going to make a copy into our own drive, and I'm logged in as support@dataclay.com. And here, what the author has done is they have essentially divided up the data into different worksheets. And so what we're going to do is look at the target that we're, you know, on right here. And this is the typography vertical. And so if I go back into the, if I go back into here, you can see that I've got the typography sheet here. So I'm going to go into After Effects and click on my drive icon right here. And I'm going to make sure that I'm connected to that. So let's go ahead and, oh, it's taking some time to do some network communication. There we go. And here's the stories template. And I click there. Here are all those worksheets. So this is the Google Sheet, and here are the worksheets here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the typography one, and I'm going to link it. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the beginning row, the first row, which is row 2, essentially. And you can see here, there's a problem. This is a placeholder. And the issue here is that we have to point Templater to a footage location that the author had shipped with for all the footage references. So in this case, I'm going to click this, and I'm going to find that that particular folder. And all of this is documented inside of the README. But I find the, let's see, the social stories, and I'm on the wrong one here. It should be in the evangelism one, and then go to there, social media stories, footage, and then media. So this is the root of where all of the assets are referenced from in the data. So now I'm going to go ahead, and now that that's set up, I'm going to hit reload, and we should see the actual item that the author had essentially referenced in the data. So if I go back to here, we can see there's a skateboard. Here's the word Instagood, huge sale this weekend only. And I'm going to go ahead and go into here. And let's go ahead and make this a little smaller so we can see kind of both what's going on inside of AE and inside of Sheets. So we're on this row right here because we know that because Templater has told us as much. If we look right here, it says finished previewing row 2. So if I go here and I do something like change this term BG text, which refers to this right here, this kind of animated background text there, I'm going to go ahead and open it up and say, you know, sale now, right? And I'm going to now reload that data, and this dynamic, instead of saying, or I'm sorry, this text layer, instead of saying dynamic, says sale now, right? So that's one, just a quick demo of changing text, right? If I wanted to change this hashtag, I can go back into here. Instead of saying Instagood, I can just say, you know, hurry soon or something like that, and hit reload again and see the data. Now, the cool thing is that it looks like it's on a frame where there's a glitch, which is, I think, intentional. Yeah, there's a glitch on that motion graphics. But what you can see here is that the author put together about 4 rows of data. So we can just iterate through those rows and see how the data looks simply by iterating in the transport here. So that's essentially, you know, one autograph in terms of social, you know, determining how the data should look inside of the composition. But the issue is that, you know, you actually want to render these out, right? So the nice thing is that in Templater, as you may know, there's this idea of the target. And the target is essentially the composition that gets rendered to disk. So the author here has determined that for row 2, we're going to do the vertical render, but for row 3 data, we're going to do the square render, and row 4 is back to the vertical, and row 5 is back to the square. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do a draft rendering just so that we can get through this really quickly. And we're going to render to AVI lossless just so that there's no, there's absolutely no compression time. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is just choose, you know, the Templater output in our documents folder there. And what we're going to do is choose the draft for the work area. and we're going to hit render. And what that's going to do is actually I should do 2, 3, 4, 5 because I think that this ends on 5. And when we hit render, what'll happen is After Effects will do the reversioning and it will generate the content. So if I go into here and look at the templater output, you can see that it's already creating this AVI here. So if I go to view details, and let's see what it's doing here. Hit F5. Yeah, you can see that this kilobyte here is increasing. Every time I hit refresh, you can see that it's changing. So that means it's rendering. Now, for some reason, After Effects doesn't like to update its render queue when it's rendering via templater, but we can see that it's working. Another thing to note, though, is that we do have a log, but this is pointing to a different project. And you can always look at the log while it's working to know that it's doing its thing. So you can see here that the templater chose the vertical for the first one, the square for the second one, and now it's building the vertical for the third one. So if we double click that, this is what the render looks like. So again, autographs, this is really meant for getting you up and running. All of these columns here, the title, the first row rather, this refers to all the layers, and then these are the values for those layers. So if we take a look at some of that content, you can see that it includes references to assets here, and these are relative to whatever directory was entered here in the footage batch assets group here. And then you've got the hex values for that are essentially being used in either expressions or elsewhere. So this is a real simple one. There's other ones like for fashion, and you'll notice these double braced values here for these particular rows or render jobs. When you have off, that means that the layer gets actually turned off. And then when you have anything other than off, the layer will be turned on. So, and that's the visibility of the layer. So, what you can do is if we go back to our Google Drive here and just to see, like, for example, fashion, we're going to go ahead and click on the stories template, click on fashion. We're going to link that and then go to, let's just go to the square one here for fashion. And here's the here's the actual asset. I'm going to go ahead and drop this to a third and then kind of increase it just a little bit just so we can see. You can see, this is what it looks like, right? And that's the render. And so what we're going to go ahead and do is go back to the beginning, the first row, see if it actually changes. And there you go. And if I don't like the colors, I can always go into here and go to the ramp end, ramps start and end, and change the gradient. And so it's just a quick way to kind of get going with that. So again, very simple, but useful, and it gives you a really, really good starting place to start generating automated video content for your project, for whatever marketing needs you might need. Now we're going to move over onto what we call the social realtor. And the social realtor is intended for, it's an autograph intended for real estate agents, real estate companies, basically that want to use real estate data to automatically generate content. So the nice thing about these, about Templater is it saves the references to, it should save the references to the data. So if I click load, what's going on here is instead of going to Google Sheet, it's going to a local JSON file. So if I click this, what's happening here is it's going to open up the folder that contains this JSON. And I actually have it open inside of Notepad. And this is actually what the JSON or the data looks like for this autograph in JSON format. Now, there is a Google Sheet that all of these autographs will ship with JSON and a link to a Google Sheet. But I just wanted to show you a different format of the data. So for all you developers out there, you don't have to rely on Google Sheets. You can also structure the data in a JSON format. So in this case, what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 sample jobs or what we would call objects. So we're going to start at the first one. So I'm going to enter in 1 at the transport for the start, and then let's do 9 for the end. And then if we go, let's say, well, let's go to this one right here, and we go to the beginning. We're going to see all this content change. So the realtor, the photo change, the name change, the phone number. You can change the logo. You can change all the assets that are in here. But what's really cool is, the reversioning process will take a little bit of time, and it's kind of holding on that. But basically, when you go through the timeline, it's going to show you what all the frames look like after the reversioning happens. So if we go to the next one, it's going to show you how the data looks here. And so really the key is that when you look at the data, so we're on this one, I believe, you can see that the data, all it would take is to change the actual data, not necessarily the After Effects project. So for example, if the realtor's name was different, we could change this to, Arie Stavchansky, and we'll just do a reload on that. And this Frank Bernard should change to Arie Stavchansky. And that is not what I look like, but that's okay. Anyway, so basically, again, these come with, this one in particular comes with a lot of different formats. I want to show you the how they're documented. So if I go to the social realtor, this is what it looks like when you unzip it. If you go to the social realtor here and you look at the outline, the author did a really fantastic job about explaining about what the targets actually do, what the keyframes are, and really what they're intended for. And then, of course, there's another PDF that documents the actual data points themselves that are used, and why, what their use is for, and then the layer name, so that you can understand how the data is structured inside of the in here. So you can see, you can reference this document to see what these are actually for. Okay, so that's the social realtor. Very useful in terms of, Realty is always sitting on a lot of data. So this one comes in handy as a starting point for all you production folks who are dealing with creating videos for real estate agencies or realtors themselves. All right, so now what I want to go do is I want to introduce you to this this music visualizer. And this visualizer uses Dataclay's patented time sculpting algorithm to effectively change the duration of the target compositions depending on how long the audio file is. And so, you can spend time going through Templater's docs and learning about how to do that, or you can start if you have, if you're in a project that's like, I need to automate the creation of audio-based stuff. You can get this. This is a great starting point to begin learning that. So first of all, let's go ahead and click load here, and let's make sure that we can actually get to this data. And I believe, yeah, it's right here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to link to the AV1 master, and then you can just click this, and there's the data right there for us. Okay, so basically this audio column right here refers to the audio layer. And you can see the author has included only 3 MP3s, each of varying length. So there's a 15-second one, a 45-second one, a 30-second one, and so on and so forth. So now, the other thing to note is that when we click load, the reference to the footage route also is kept. So all the assets that are referred to, like these photos here, are relative to this location here. Okay, so basically, what's going to happen is if I first of all, let me just show you when I scroll through this thing, and I'm going to kind of bring this down to a quarter because it's a pretty high resolution thing going on here. But you can see that the audio spectrum here is changing, and what's happening is it's using the layer inside of this right here, right? So this layer is actually mapped. And the reason we know it's mapped is because it has the templater settings. And so the name of the layer is audio. Here's the layer name. Here's the templater settings. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start on row 2, and we're going to go to the beginning. And what we're going to see is this is going to change probably from 30 seconds to, let's see, 15 seconds. So this one's rather deep in terms of the time sculpting. And I'm going to show you logging as well, but the reversioning does take some time. So let's take a look. We're here. And now you can see that the composition itself shortened down to 15 seconds. And we are here at when we go back up to the actual render, this is also 15 seconds. So it doesn't matter. In other words, this audiogram is what we call it. It respects the length of the entire asset that you give it, the entire audio asset that you give it. So if I advance to the next row, which is a 45 seconds MP3, I'm going to click next. Essentially what's going to happen is all of the content's going to change here. And then you can see here, it's already kind of doing its thing, but it's going to make all of the nested comps, everything that's based off of this audio layer, it's going to extend it accordingly. So let's go ahead and look. It's finished doing the reversioning. And so now we can see that we've got 45 seconds long. And what's interesting here is that we've got this loop and we've got the intro, and the intro does this animation, but because the animation is shorter than the audio file, we have this hold. It's kind of like a hold keyframe, so that in case the audio is really long, it will just continue to loop and loop and loop, and it'll accommodate any size of audio file. Okay, so again, this also has different aspect ratios for different networks for when you want to output that asset to various networks, yeah, so that's effectively the 3D audio visualizer, otherwise known as a audiogram. And unfortunately, the asset that we're using that is shipped with it, it's from one of our own videos, and there's not a lot of variation in the audio file. But if you had a difference between like a talk radio and then maybe a song, you would definitely see a difference in the spectrum there. Okay, so another one that I want to share with you is this personalized messaging. And I'm not going to go ahead and save this. Just leave it as it is. Now, the personalized messaging is really intended for very, very simple follow-ups that are personal messages. We know that our customers are using Templater for a lot of different personalization, and these are just very basic for you to kind of start off with. But you can see here, for example, I'm going to click load, and we're looking at the thank you. It's connected to the thank you worksheet inside of the personalized messaging template. So if I go to the main composition here, I'm already there right here. So let's go ahead and open the data. And here's that data set, right? And you can see it's quite involved. There's a lot going on here, but what's nice is that I can kind of go through what each category is here, why these are different colors here, why the author did that. So, we've got some basic footage references here. If there's no footage reference, they use the off tag. This is intended for bot to read. If a row is set to ready, then bot will process it and output it. And then we've got some more PNG references. Here's some text layers or text data that appears in text layers throughout. And then we've got something called these selectors here. And when you see a double brace in the data, what that is referring to, the term inside of the double brace is referring to the compositions that exist already in the project. So it's a way for you to structure your messaging so that you can leave scenes in and out. So we have a lot of questions from customers about, hey, if I only need 2 scenes, can I do that as opposed to having 5 scenes? And the answer is yes, you can. It's a little bit complicated to set up, but using an autograph like this, it's already set up for you. So if we keep scrolling down, these are hex values that are used throughout to make sure that, you've got the correct theme. And then what's really cool is that the font styles are actually driven by the data as well. So you can change the fonts from the data. Now, with Templater, the font names have to be referenced using the PostScript name, which can usually be found in the Windows fonts. When you go to the font settings here and you look at a font here, you'll see, this right here refers to that. So like if we did something like this one and we scroll down, this full name is really what you would use in here. Okay, so this is called the PostScript name. So anyway, that is just really cool to be able to drive the data from, the font style from the data. So let's take a look. We're going to go into here and let's just scroll all the way back, and we can see that we are, let's go back to row 2, and this one is for thank you. Yeah, we're in the thank you one, and it's kind of reversioning. So this is for a blood drive, a personalized message for blood drive. And you can see that the fonts are a certain, the text layers are a certain font. It's still doing its footage changing. And the other thing that this is including is time sculpting. And the deeper nested your compositions are, the longer the reversioning will take. However, you do get a lot of flexibility with that kind of stuff, with the time sculpting. So if I go to the next one, you can see that the colors are going to change, the styles of the font are going to change, and of course the text is going to change, and even some of the images in the background are going to change. So that's essentially the personalized messaging one. These are really built as only widescreens, and that's okay. I mean, it depends on how involved the author wants to make it. But for example, the welcome one, if we do the custom render, and then we connect to the welcome data set instead of the thank you one, go there and then go back to the beginning. The custom target basically allows you to drop certain scenes in the data so that you can have anywhere from like 2 or 3 or 4 different scenes that are pre-made. So if we look at the welcome one here, and we scroll down right here, you can see there are some that are being used, and the certain durations that you can set up for how long you want the scenes to last. And so that's kind of a really nice thing to be able to have. But this one's really nice. It comes up with this 3D animated envelope, and then it enters into this, messaging, and so on and so forth. So this is for universities and that kind of thing to communicate with students. If I go to the next one, we can see an entirely different set of data, different fonts, different for a different university, different images, things like that. Okay, so that is personalized messaging. The final one that I want to show you is a really, really powerful one, probably one of our more, what I would assume is more popular because it's intended for sports. If I'm going to go ahead and open it up and look at the live sports autograph, and I'm going to look at the one that contains all of the targets and show you really the power of how Templater is and how, as an author, if you really know your stuff in terms of building for data, you can get some really cool stuff. But if I, just kind of take a look here, you can see, this is just a upcoming schedule for a specific team, right? And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to load in the last one that we used, and I'm going to actually choose a different JSON file. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose the one that I'm looking at. So I'm looking at the upcoming schedule. So I'm going to click this one and say, okay. And I'm going to go ahead and actually bring that back up and open this guy up into Notepad. And we're going to go back to the second one right here. So let's go back to here. And this, instead of saying Pittsburgh Bearcats, should say something along the lines of Los Angeles LA Athletic Club. It's kind of doing its thing, going through all the layers. So the reversioning on these autographs can take a little bit of time, but it's better than double clicking your way through everything. While that's happening, actually, what I want to go ahead and do is I also want to show you the, well, that didn't actually change the, let's see, live sports stats upcoming schedule. And I'm looking at number 2. So yeah, that's not, for some reason, it's not coming through. Oh, no, there it is. Yeah. I see. It was on a cached frame. Okay. So here, so now that's the LA Athletic Club. And then if I advance, it's going to go to the next one. But while that's happening, while the reversioning is happening, I want to show you the Dataclay.com products and just kind of show you how we're presenting these things. So as an author and as somebody who might need to license this, you can understand how it works. Once you land on our products, you can also go to our shop and go to Templater Autografs. Here is the list of the ones that we have now, and you can load more. And we only have, I think, 7 at this point. But basically, once you like one or you want to start using one, you can click on more details. And keep in mind, we just launched this, and so we're building it. It's a living and breathing thing, and so you can watch a teaser video for everything that these things are capable of. There's some informational stuff on here, but really the nice thing is that you can see some samples of how they're used, where they're intended to be used, and that kind of thing. So it's a little bit. I'm sorry, not a little bit, but it's a very thorough example of what is possible with these things, and you can choose which level of output you want in terms of the basic, bulk, or batch. And you can see there's just a little bit of a description here. Let's go to this one right here for the live sports stats, which is pretty cool. We've made just a couple of sales since our launch, which wasn't too far long ago. And some reason, yeah, there we go. There's the prices show up there. You can see, this one's got more of a description, but if we hit play, you can see all of the different outputs in a sizzler to kind of get an overview of what's possible with these things. So it's pretty cool in terms of the level of complexity that this one in particular, this sports one is. It's created by a gentleman named Tom B. I'm not going to pronounce his last name, but Tom 10. He's really great at doing this data-driven stuff, and we're so happy to have him on the community, along with the other authors. And we, just to show you and give you an idea of what's possible. I mean, it's really nicely designed stuff. But if we look at, for example, something like the team lineups, and in this case, I'm going to go to the team lineups JSON file, which contains the data for this particular target composition. I'm going to go ahead and go to the first one the second object in that JSON file. And what we should see are these change up so that depending on how many people are on the team, the rows will actually change, and all the scaling and everything changes with it. So the way that's achieved is there's what we call hooks, and this author took it upon themselves to write an extend script hook that actually manipulates the layers as they're going through. So you can see in the preferences, if we go to the setup extend scripts and we go to the layer processing, so before all the layers update, it runs this JSX file to manipulate all the content inside here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one, and we can see what's going to happen to the rows here. You can see how I believe another row got added because there was another data point for that particular job or object. So it's a very dynamic one. I would call this one a signature. This is definitely a signature level one. It's got compositions for landscape, portrait, and square for all your social media or even high resolution, broadcast needs. And I encourage you to definitely take a look at what they offer. But it's a pretty remarkable autograph that we've got here. So I think that's essentially what they are. If I'm gonna see if we can open this up for any questions or discussions, and or anything that you guys might have a question about. But that's where I'm going to stop the demo. And yeah, so let me go back to my. Oh, okay, nothing quite yet. That's fine. All right. Well, I'll keep going and showing you some more data and how that kind of affects these things. You can see here how the rows changed in terms of the count rows, and all the scaling changed. So it's pretty powerful stuff in terms of the dynamics of this one. And the one thing I do want to show you, for those who are interested in contributing to these to our marketplace and submitting the data with your rigged template, you can go to your account, you can go to the profile here, and once you are a user of our site and you go to the profile, you can register as a vendor. And the registration as a vendor will allow you to begin the process of essentially signing up or onboarding onto the Dataclay marketplace. So that'll let you, we haven't opened this up completely to the public quite yet. We're still working on some of the fine tuning of the fine print for the vendor terms, but you click next, and then what essentially you let us know a little bit about what you're doing, and then say I'm going to do this part-time. Click next again, and we use a transaction, a payment gateway named FastSpring that allows us to track very, very transparently all the sales that are coming for your particular products that you upload. And we can see what the revenue shares are with all the discounts that might be applied and everything like that. You have to go to the FastSpring, and then once you hit submit, you get a profile page. You can customize that profile and then start building products and submitting products. So, I would say, at this point, we've covered a lot. I would highly recommend you guys, if you do have further questions about the autographs or about signing up to be an author, to send any questions you have to support@dataclay.com. You can also just contact us here, going to the contact form and letting us know about your question and how we can help you, onboard or figure out what makes sense for you. So that's it. That's the presentation. These are the Templater autographs, and we hope to get your autograph soon. Thanks so much. And before I sign off completely, I do want to kind of just say goodbye and show my face. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today and for just reviewing this. And we're always happy to answer your questions. Please send them whenever you have the time. Okay, thanks so much. Bye-bye.